Hey everybody, and welcome back to Word of the Day with your girl Candy. I hope everyone is having a blessed day. Today is Monday. It's been a wonderful day. I hope that you guys are living your best life. I would like for you guys to share the video, like the video, leave a comment. If you can, because this is going on Instagram, you can scroll to the top of my page and my YouTube link will be in my bio. Please go ahead, click the link and head on over to YouTube and make sure that you like, subscribe to my page on YouTube and share or leave a comment so that I can help build the algorithm. Like I said, I'm new to this, so I'm trying to get into the flow of things. So yeah, be sure to support the page, like, comment, share, and go ahead on over to YouTube and subscribe. You can even follow me here on Instagram and also on Facebook. Okay, today is July 20th, and our word of the day is called familiar weakness. It's going to play off a little bit where we were yesterday with the mundane, but we'll get into that when we get there, okay? And the word of the day is familiar weakness. It says, I love you, O Lord, my strength. The Lord is my rock and my fortress and my deliverer. My God, my rock, in whom I take refuge. My shield and the horn of my salvation, my stronghold. Psalms 18:1 and 2. And the passage reads, sometimes we recognize God's power and strength in the big things in life which familiarize us again with our need for dependence on Him. But what about the mundane weakness that we face repeatedly, even daily? Should we scorn the things that plague us, or should we use them as opportunity to praise Him and find Him to be strong in those routine flaws? It says, we do not need to resent our weakness. We can use those small but trying things as reminders for His power over all troubles in this world. That's John 16:33. It says, hard as it might be, we can even thank Him for our pain, sorrow, and discomfort. By doing so, we are saved from the enemy. The weaknesses that used to send us into despair are now sending us back to the throne of the kingdom. That's great. Lord, you didn't come to save me just from major events, but from the trials that I will face repeatedly. Help me surrender my weaknesses to you. Familiar weaknesses. Okay? So in the beginning, it says, sometimes we recognize God's power and strength in the big things in life which familiarize us again with our need for dependence on Him. But what about the mundane weaknesses we face repeatedly and even daily? Okay? So if you remember, yesterday we talked about majesty. And it was magnificent majesty and monotonous, right? But today they're using, it said you can find majesty even in the mundane things, right? And mundane, yesterday, the monotonous was small things, simple. And so today they're using that same example with the mundane, saying that you can still find your weaknesses, your mundane weaknesses, simple things daily that we might not even recognize because it's on a daily basis. So familiar weaknesses, right? Y'all have to excuse me, and I'm going to use just that as an example for me, okay? So for me, a familiar weakness would be me speaking, my speech, right? I'm not, like I said, I've never done this, in front of the camera thing, being public with speaking. I'm used to speaking, with people privately, friends, family, co-workers and those sorts of things, and not having to worry about, well, you have to worry about it, but I've been unaware of how I speak. So for me, a familiar weakness would be working on my speech and my words, pronunciations, and things like that. Because, like I said, I don't know if you remember, if you even saw the other video where I say sometimes I have this broken English thing where I might say something and it might not be the correct way to say it, or I might mess up. I don't know, but yeah. So that's for me, and I believe someone brought it to my attention. I can't remember who, but not all the time do I have someone, critique me on how I speak because they already know what I'm trying to say. They understand what I'm saying, right? Uh, but for me, that's one. And I am, what was I saying? Because I had wrote some things down. Oh, so me doing these videos, it gives me a chance to see and hear myself self-reflect so that I'm able to work on those things so that I can learn to, it's not that I want to speak proper or nothing like that, but just to conduct myself and have a better, way of talking so that I don't sound crazy. And again, I think it's a nervous thing for me because even though I've posted a few of these videos, I still get nervous. And I believe when I'm nervous, it's even worse. It's kind of like a nervous tick. So I just ask that you guys excuse me with that and bear with me because I am still working on myself. I'm not getting on here on these videos to pretend to be all perfect and all these things. I'm actually openly sharing myself and using these words, and I am using myself as an example so that I can work on myself and maybe it'll help you, do some work that you need to do with yourself too. I don't know if everybody, we all have different nervous tics that we do, but I know for a fact for me, speaking and speech is one, right? Another example of mundane familiar weakness for me would be smacking. My homegirl told me, she was on the video, she was like, girl, you just smacking away. I was like, I am not smacking, she said. But it's a nervous thing that I do because I don't know if I do it when I'm not on camera, but I did replay a few of the videos and I did do like a little smacking or whatever, but I didn't look at it as a big, problem, but she brought it to my, see, I just did it. I don't know, but she brought it to my attention. So that is something else that I will be trying to work on, right? Okay. And then let me see. Okay. So it says, but what about the mundane weaknesses that we face repeatedly daily? I just gave you two examples for me, which is my smacking and my speaking and speech, right? So it says, or should we use them, or should we see them as opportunity to praise him and find him to be strong in these routine flaws? So instead of me resenting my weakness, which is a defense mechanism, and saying, oh, well, making excuses or whatever, I am taking accountability and responsibility for that and trying to improve myself and make it better, right? I mean, you have to give credit where credit is due. And so, so I'm using this opportunity to, like I said, with the videos, reflect on myself and say, okay, Candy, well, I understand, you do it a lot, especially when you're nervous. My words might be a little jumbled or whatever the case may be, but that's just how I talk. I think I've been talking like that for as long as I can remember, and it could use some work, right? It says we do not need to resent our weakness. It says we can use those small but trying things as reminders of his power over all troubles in his world. As hard as it may be, we can even thank him for our pain, sorrow, and discomfort. I remember telling someone, we were doing a Bible study. I'm always bringing up Bible study because I'm always in Bible study. And the book we were reading at that time was Job. And I was telling Pastor Kathy, I was like, I love the book of Job because regardless of how much he struggled and everything that he lost, he never turned his back on God. Even though he was mad with himself, like he wanted to die and he was just saying, get it over with, do away with it. He still, he was saying some stuff, but he still had faith in his love for God. And that's how I feel, like, because I done been through a lot, and I know I say that all the time, and it's the truth because I have. And regardless of, and you're going to hear me say this repeatedly, I don't, regardless of as to what happens, I cannot see myself turning against God. However, I do remember a time where I was upset with him and I had stopped talking to him for a while. Like, I wouldn't pray, I wouldn't talk to him because I was mad. I was so upset because I was like, why are you allowing this to happen to me? But of course, I came to my senses, and over the years and as I grow as a person and a servant of God, I learned things, and I just came to the conclusion, like, all of the people in the book, and not in the book, but in the Bible, who's people, and just because we love God and he loves us and we're his children doesn't make us exempt from pain and sorrow, okay? A lot of people that he loved and adored and cherished and respected in the Bible suffered. Literally, almost all of them. Not one person, if I'm not mistaken, because like I said, I don't know the Bible in and out, but as I have read it and I do my Bible study, but as to my knowledge, not one person that I know that he loved that did not have to suffer. I don't know. We would have to ask God, but it builds character. And I guess like yesterday, not yesterday anyways, but like the other video, he wants us to be able to depend on him for him because of who he is and not what he can do for us, right? So just because we suffer and struggle doesn't mean that God doesn't love us. And I'm rambling, I forgot. Oh, we were talking about Job. So it says, by doing so, we are saved from the enemy. Oh, no. Oh, hard as it is, or might be, we even thank him for our pain and sorrow. So I was telling Pastor Kathy, I said, I thank God for my hardships. I'm so grateful for his hardships. And matter of fact, I welcome more hard times. And she said to me, she was like, girl, you better than me. She said, because I don't know if I could. She's so funny. She was like, I don't know if I'm thankful for the hardships. She was like, I don't know if, she was like, telling me how good that was, because she didn't know if she would be able to welcome more hardships, because it's hard times. Nobody wants to suffer. I don't want to suffer either. I don't want to go through hard times. But what I'm saying is, I thank him for those times because they are building me up. You know what I mean? Like, I would have never done this. Like, I don't know, but it's building me up as a person, as a mother, as a daughter, as a friend. It's making me more self-conscious and aware of myself. I am no longer afraid for things to happen because I know that things are going to happen regardless, right? So I look at Job as an inspiration. It makes me want to be more like Job. Like, regardless of to how much weight is on my shoulders, I'm never going to be, y'all got to excuse my hair. I got to get my hair done. I don't never want to be the person to say that I don't love God, or I don't want to be, this, or, love God because of so much things that are happening to me. I still want to love God, and I encourage him to continue to build in me and making me a stronger person, right? So it says, we do not need to resent our weaknesses. We use those small but trying things as reminders of his power over all troubles in this world. As hard as it may be, we can even thank him for our pain and sorrow. So I thank him for that. And discomfort, because we only change and grow when we are uncomfortable. We don't make changes and become a better person when we're content and comfortable, because you're happy where you are. So if you are comfortable, sometimes you can be a little too comfortable, by doing so, we are saved from the enemy. The weaknesses that used to send us into despair are now used to send us back to the King of Throne. So like I was saying, those weaknesses that I could have overlooked and, because I was comfortable and not change anything. Instead, I am using those weaknesses to better myself, to make these videos so that it can send me back to the throne of the King, right? because I am still on my journey to seek the kingdom, right? It says, Lord, you didn't come to save me just from major events, but from the trials that I will face repeatedly. Help me surrender my weaknesses to you. And this is what I'm doing. Even though I know I'm not perfect and I am flawed, I am using those to better myself, and I am offering them to the Most High so that He can make those my strength, turn my weaknesses into my strengths, right? So, examples of a mundane weakness would be ordinary, everyday, simple vulnerability, a flaw, limitation, or hardship that's normal and lacks any supernatural, heroic, or complex ability. For me, it's my speech and my speaking, and I'm working on that. Examples, what was this one? Because I had looked up something and I forgot. Okay. An extremely smart, highly competent professional whose mundane weakness is simply being unable to say no to people or having trouble keeping their desk organized. So another mundane, familiar weakness for me, would be caring about other people's feelings and emotions more than my own. Especially like dealing with the opposite sex or even my children. Sometimes I may tend to put my own feelings aside to try and make them happy. And in that process, I am slowly hurting myself. So I've learned to not do that. Like, I'm done with that. I have to take care of Candy, because if I don't take care of Candy, nobody's going to take care of Candy. God is going to take care of Candy, but it's me and God. We're both going to take care of me. He's going to help me to take care of me. And some things I have to just learn how to say no. As much as, we don't want to hurt people's feelings, because there has been lots of times where I have to bite my tongue and not say things and lash out, because once I go there to that point, then it's just going to go downhill from there. So I have learned a lot on how to not say certain things, to control my temper and my emotions, because I just want to be happy. I want to be positive. I want to have fun and live life. Nobody has time for the negative and we all have enough going on in our lives to be adding, negative and sadness onto it if it ain't. So, that's that, right? So our word of the day is familiar weakness. So look for some familiar weaknesses that you may have and work on those. You can actually turn those familiar weaknesses, mundane familiar weaknesses, which may be small things, into positive things that you might be able to help someone, or just, make yourself a better person, right? We can all use a little bit of improvement. And our prayer for today is trust in the Lord. And it reads, trust in the Lord with all your heart and do not lean on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge Him, and He will make straight your paths. Proverbs chapter 3, verses 5 through 6. And it reads, Mighty Father, I surrender my worries, doubts, and fears to you, knowing that in your infinite wisdom and love, I may lean on you for guidance. Help me to not rely on my own understanding, but to align my actions with your divine plan. I don't understand how many times I have to say this is what my life has transitioned into, is me learning not to lean on my own understanding, but to lean on His, because it says, in all your ways acknowledge Him, and He will make straight your paths. When we learn how to stop trying to do things our way and do things God's way, and allow Him to work in my life, it makes it I wouldn't say easier, but more manageable, so that we are able to just basically have a better comprehension and understand of his love and his power, so that we can serve him better, and it'll make our lives much better too. We can be able to start receiving our blessings. Not that they're going to come right away, because nothing happens overnight. But I do believe that if we can learn to trust in him with all our heart, and do not lean on our own understanding, and learn to look at, lean on his understanding, his understanding, and allow him to work and move in our lives, then he will make our paths make our paths better and straight for us, so that we're able to walk on the straight and narrow path, right? It says, "My Father, I surrender my worries, doubts, and fears to you, knowing that your infinite wisdom and love, knowing that in your infinite wisdom and love, I may lean on your guidance. Help me not to rely on my own understanding, but to align my actions with your divine plan." So, with that being said, this is his plan for me. I know that he has a wonderful plan for you. And with that concludes our word for today. And I wish you guys a blessed day. Peace.